Another edition of Riding Home. Ryan Curley, gracious enough to join us here. And Ryan, it's another edition of spring football practice.
Yes. You know, got about 10 to 15 minutes in there today. Defense was hard to see. A lot of special teams action. Them just working on different sets and things like that. But there are a few takeaways. So if there's anywhere you want to start, you
Well, you
ask, I'll
said the
answer.
defense was you said the defense was hard to see, so let's start on the offensive side of the ball.
Offensive side of the ball, just based off what they showed us, looked like Willick, someone that we got to talk to the other night, was in place of Warren Erickson at that right guard position.
Who was?
So
I
maybe
couldn't hear you.
Devin Willick.
Yeah, yeah.
So someone that we got to hear from a few days ago. Didn't have too much to say on Tuesday night when we talked to him and Xavier Truss and the other person I can't remember. But anyway, Willick was in there for where Erickson was at that right guard position. So the rest of the line kind of the same as what we talked about the last 2 weeks, but they're testing Willock in there at right guard.
Yeah, not abnormal. I mean, this is what you do in the spring, and
Yeah,
I would say that more than anything, you're trying to figure out where are we going. For sure, you don't have Tate Ratledge right now to bolster things, I guess you could say. So there's a little bit of experimentation, which is what should be happening. Carson Beck should be taking series with the ones. Brock Vandergriff, those guys, they should all be playing with the ones. Maybe Gunnar Stockton shouldn't be playing with them a ton, but this is spring football. This is what we do. If there's changes at right guard, I mean, I'm all for it. This is just part of how this works.
yeah, it's their best opportunity to figure out what their best lineups are across the board. I mean, they need to try as many different combinations as they can to see what works the best. You want to put the best lineup out there possible come September,
Yeah.
and they need to figure it out. That's why the rumors have been circulating over the last few days that Carson Beck is getting a lot of reps with the ones, that Brock Vandegrift is probably getting some reps with the ones. Well,
Yeah.
that
Good.
seems pretty normal to me. That's I think that's a good thing. The way they presented it today made it seem like the depth chart hasn't changed from what we assume it is right now, where Stetson's
Oh,
first, followed by
yeah.
Carson Beck, the way they presented it. But we got to see them throw a lot of balls today. Eric Gilbert,
Yeah.
big guy. That is a
Yeah.
big target that they're going to have.
So
Big
a
and
lot, a
fast.
lot you just talked about. Obligatory. Make sure you're picking up DAWGSTRUCTION because there's going to be a lot of autograph signings in the near future. Make sure you're picking up DAWGSTRUCTION. The link is down below. Ryan, one thing that I pick this up sometimes to look at to refresh my memory about some of these games and going back to the offensive line. They moved Broderick into the starting or into the front five during that game, and that's when Georgia scored back to back drives in the fourth quarter, and then of course ended it with the Keely Ringo touchdown. That's the part that I think that people maybe they remember that hardcore people at Dog Post. I think they do remember that, but the casual fan that watches us on our various social networks, I'm not sure if everybody remembers that as much, but now is the time to do the as close to trial by fire as you can. I mean, you don't really want if Stetson is your starter, you don't really want the other guys playing in the games when Stetson should be playing. You want them to develop right now if they can. Now, some people will say, "Oh well, no, we do want them to play." Okay, a little bit, but not as a starter, right? I mean, you want your starting quarterback to be a starting quarterback. So right now
Yeah.
is the best time to do all of these things, whether you're talking about Willock or Fairchild. I mean, it doesn't. I mean, whoever's in there needs to be in there and taking a look at things. Okay, what else did you notice?
Someone that we're going to talk to tonight, Dominick Blaylock. I mean, we saw it towards the end of last year, getting healthier. Two ACLs is not a joke. Tearing ligaments in your knee in back-to-back years is not a joke. That's difficult to come back from. That's something that we saw Zamir White come back from and not really look like the same athlete that he once was. But Dominick Blaylock looks explosive, looks shifty. Saw him returning some punts, saw him catching some balls, blowing by guys. Someone that, and Matt DeBerry wrote about this on the site the other day, is maybe he could kind of break back out, because I thought his freshman season was pretty good,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
maybe kind of a re-breakout guy. It's someone that's kind of in the back of people's minds when they talk about all these wide receiver weapons. Oh, they lost Jermaine Burton. Oh, they lost George Pickens. Well, they're regaining Dominick Blaylock. It looks like if he can stay healthy, that he'll be a problem for opposing secondaries, especially with the numerous types of offensive lineups they can come up with. They are loaded in these position groups, in running back, in tight end, in receiver, and they're going to have the blessing of being able to put forth a lot of different types of varieties.
Yeah, I mean, this uh, receiving core has the capability to be really widespread, no necessarily number one guy, if you want to call it that, although Mitchell seems to be headed that way and McConkey could be headed that way. But everybody can't be, it can't be that all these guys are good. There's got to be, if you're going to be, say, oh, this person's a number one, then, the person to me that looks like the most likely would be Mitchell. But look,
I agree.
You got Mitchell, McConkey, Rosemary Jack Saint, Smith, Jackson. Did I say Blaylock? I can't remember if I said Blaylock or not.
No, you
That's a
didn't.
really good group
Yeah,
of guys. I mean, Smith. Listen, I think this is the last play he made because he got hurt on it. Didn't he get hurt
Missouri
in
game.
the Missouri game? Yeah,
Missouri
look at this.
Missouri touchdown.
Please look at this beautiful image that somebody up top absolutely nailed.
That would have been you, Mr. Dean Leggy,
Yes, that's right. That's right. But
that time.
that was a very nice throw from Stetson.
It was.
Arian Smith's speed gives you the capability to do things underneath, etc. It's not that McConkey's not fast. We've seen what AD Mitchell can do, but the more the merrier. Georgia, for the first time in a while in these back-to-back seasons, has pretty good wide receivers.
Yeah.
Now, this is really developed under Kirby, but they've really got a solid bunch. The question is, can Brian McClendon get them even higher? If you missed, well, we recorded it already, but Matt and I talk a lot about the wide receiver recruiting coming up and riding home for Sunday, and we got what we were hearing coming on Sunday. So it's an important day to check out the site. But the receivers are in better shape than they've been in a while, and they weren't bad at the early part of Kirby's time, but they're just blowing away the 5 years before that.
Yeah, it's become one of the stronger groups on the team,
Right.
and most of the groups are pretty strong. It looks like they're trying to cater AD Mitchell into becoming that number one guy. Kirby chirps at him the most in practice. I try to listen to what Kirby's saying to all the guys, and I think they're expecting a lot out of AD Mitchell. I think he was a freshman that really came in and played well, and he's got the juice. He's got the juice to be that guy. I mean, he
as much
made
as
a
we talk
spectacular
about
play.
as much
Yeah.
as we talk about this moment, Kirby's credit came right here on train DT red tank double go when AD Mitchell went down that Georgia sideline straight into the redcoats, and it took, I think it was 4 seconds. The
That was
ball
to
was
take the lead.
that took the lead, and Alabama didn't score again. And I'm trying to remember how many seconds it was, but it was that 2nd and 18 showed the confidence they have in AD Mitchell, a guy who was a freshman, an unheralded recruit, really. And then, we can't mention recruiting without Kirby kind of going, essentially saying you guys are dumb. That's a bad way to put it. But, he wasn't heralded. He was not a top 300 player, according to the recruiting services. And, I don't know who Georgia beat out for Mitchell, but my point in saying all that is it's an exceptional find by Georgia and Kirby and them, and development by Georgia,
Yeah.
Kirby and them. I'm looking for how many seconds it was, Ryan. And I got to tell you, I can't just immediately see it, but it was
Hey, well,
not
we saw it. We saw it a year ago with
3 seconds.
AD Mitchell
3
at G
seconds.
Day.
Yeah, I know.
Like you said, he was one of those unheralded guys. He
Yep.
wasn't some big 5-star wide
Right.
receiver. At G Day, puts up 100 yards, and like, oh, well, this guy might be someone that can make some plays, all the way to being on the receiving end of the most important pass play in Georgia history. I mean, they took the lead.
Let's not
It's
go
up
crazy.
there. It's up there.
Okay, the most
It's up
is
there.
it's certainly top 5, if not number 2. But I don't think Lindsey Scott's getting beaten out anytime soon, unless you want to make your case.
Another time.
I think you could make the case. I mean, I think you can make the case But Georgia doesn't win the national championship in 1980 without that play. It just doesn't happen. To the chagrin of all the Gators. You got people walking behind you. This is totally live.
Yeah.
What live to tape, as they say. Um,
Hey,
what
a
other
guy I
what?
looked at a little bit today, that I know you're pretty high on, that people are starting to learn about, is Zion Logue. Zion Logue to me looks a guy that really wants it. You watching these practices. We talk about how important practice is. That is where your best development comes from.
No
Zion
question.
Logue, is from afar. As my thumb's in the way, from afar, because they position the defensive drills really far away.
Right, they
I'm
do
just trying
that.
to watch to see who's giving the extra oomph to it at the end. And Zion Logue is going after, dummy targets and stuff like they're real people. Like he wants to kill these people. He looks like someone that really wants it.
Well, it's go time
That's
though,
just kind of
right?
my takeaway. It's always go time.
Well,
I think it's always go
it is
time.
always go time. But in the guys that I saw in that time, so Sherman, Logue, Nolan Smith. Nolan was a year above him, but like not yeah, Warren McClendon. We saw Xavier Truss live. We saw a lot of these guys. Obviously, Dominick Blaylock. But Zion Logue was like the number one value. It's kind of like when at the grocery store, Cokes are on sale for like you can get four for $12, 12 pack for $12. Now I know as a now 21-year-old connoisseur of pricier drinks, you might not understand the value there, which is the Diet Cokes for you're getting quite a few Diet Cokes there for $12, right? Um,
Yeah, with
yeah,
extra ice.
sure you care. Yeah, make sure that. And what's the point in drinking a drink if it's warm? I mean, who are these people? You know, this isn't the Panama Canal. We're trying to quench our thirst. Back to Zion Logue. He was. I'm certain I drank a Diet Coke that night. That was a long drive out there to Lebanon, Tennessee. But we're 3 years into it now, and he has the body and the capability to do it.
He's long, man.
Let's see if he can do it. Right? He's long, no question about that. And let's
Yeah.
just see if he can do it. I remember that night, like his family members had lion shirts on. They had shirts that had lions on. I think it was Zion the Lion was like his sort of high
Zion the
school
Lion.
nickname. Yeah, I'm sure someone will use that now. But it is go time for him. And you have a really good defensive line, Ryan. Zion Logue. I mean, Zion Logue's not my number one guy. I mean, Jalen Carter is the best player on
Jalen
this
Carter.
team to me. And I think he's the best defensive lineman. So you got Jalen Carter, Zion Logue, Nolan Smith, Robert Beal, as well as Stackhouse. Brinson had quite a few snaps out there. Jamel Walthour is going to get his look. But there's no question. You're replacing a guy who, I doubt it, but could be the number one overall pick in Trayvon Walker, Jordan Davis, everyone's favorite teddy bear except the other team, Devontae Wyatt, and I mean,
Devontae
everybody.
Wyatt was maybe the most underrated defensive player in the
Yeah,
country,
but
man.
listen,
Because
man.
the focus was
Yeah,
on Jordan Davis, but
yeah.
they got the guys, and they
Well,
got the
here's the
guys
thing,
again.
though, Ryan. If you were at if you were at Meadow Creek High School the day I watched Devontae play, it was not dissimilar from watching Zion Logue play, which is this guy is really athletic for his size. This guy is someone that people should be talking about in a few years. But you knew it wasn't going to be immediate because it just wasn't like boom obvious. I thought Stackhouse was a guy too that could kind of develop into some stuff, but Stackhouse is not. Stackhouse has still got another. I'm trying to remember. Logue is older than Stackhouse. One of the two is older.
Stackhouse will be
A junior. Well, they both will
a
be
junior,
juniors.
yeah.
Yeah, they both will be juniors. One is a class before the other. I think Logue is in front of Stackhouse. Stackhouse made a bunch of plays. Listen, if we're driving to watch these guys, you got to make plays. I'm not trying to drive hours, and it's always hours to go watch guys play. If you're driving from Athens to Atlanta, that's hours. So when we go watch, I want to see people make plays. When we went to go see Brock Vandergrift, which was not ours, right? I still want to
Made a
see.
lot of plays.
He made a lot of plays, but quarterbacks should make plays, right? But even defensive linemen, if you watched, I'm sorry, I'm rambling now, but if you watch Zion Logue and you watch Devontae Wyatt, they definitely made plays. and they did it in ways that were impressive. Zion Logue, Stackhouse, and Wyatt. Trayvon Walker just didn't look normal at all in any way, whether we were watching him practice basketball or playing a football game. He was not a normal person, and I don't think he will go number one. But
He might.
that's just because I'm skeptical by nature. Anyway, what else did you see as we wrap this thing up?
Uh, Nolan Smith is a talker, man, but that's not
I know.
something we didn't know already. But he's chirping all over the place, But some of it's good stuff, trying to motivate other guys. I think that we talk about leadership a lot, and I think that he's a senior. It's his time. I think he's got a lot to prove to himself, to the team, to NFL scouts. I think he's got a lot to gain in this year, and
He sure
he's
does.
doing it verbally already, and he's motivating guys. He's chirping. He's having fun out there. He seems really relaxed, and we know he's got the talent. But it's go time for Nolan Smith. But he's one of those guys I think that they can maybe rally behind. He talked a lot. Kirby Smart, doesn't know doesn't know if it's Eric or Arik. Again, said both back to back,
I
and
always
it's
thought it
driving me
was.
nuts.
I always
Driving me
thought it was
nuts.
Eric, but it's
It's,
okay.
it's starting to get to me
I don't know.
because I don't know his name. But he looks really good. He looks really good. But those are the guys that Kirby was giving extra attention to today was A.D.
That's all
Mitchell
you
and
need to
Eric
know.
Gilbert.
Yep.
Eric Gilbert or Eric Gilbert and A.D. Mitchell, two guys that he really coached up today. Looking a lot from those two guys. I think they could be premier weapons on the team this year. A.D.
I'm
Mitchell
not.
will be.
He will, and I've said to you privately to kind of let's not go nuts about Gilbert yet
Yeah,
because he still has physical stuff to go. He's never been
he's
through
got
a
a lot.
full semester at Georgia of practices and so forth. But, and I'm not gonna go far on this. The guy is a straight up player, a baller, a freak. I've not seen a lot of people like him. So let's just get to the starting line before we get too agitated and so forth. All right, check out Ryan's article. It'll be up on Dog Post probably by the time you see this. And if not, check out DAWGSTRUCTION. The link is down below. Thanks for watching.